was a very happy sister in the Loreto. But when the call of Christ comes, if we really belong to Him, and as a religious, for me, vocation was belonging to Christ. And since I belong to Him, He had right to use me as He wanted without consulting me. Therefore, when this vocation, in the vocation came to go amongst the poorest of the poor, to bring Christ into the homes and the hearts of the poor, and to bring the poor to Christ. That was the call.
We're at the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C., where the United States Postal Service recognized Mother Teresa with the 44-cent stamp on September 5, 2010. Mother Teresa received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1979 for her humanitarian work. Noted for her compassion toward the sick and suffering, Mother Teresa, a diminutive Roman Catholic nun and honorary U.S. citizen, served the sick and destitute of India and the world for nearly 50 years. Her humility and compassion, as well as her respect for the innate worth and dignity of humankind, inspired people of all ages and backgrounds to work on behalf of the world's poorest populations.
Actually, the society was started in 1950 with 12 sisters. And the congregation became a diocesan congregation. And since then, we have become, now in 65, we became a pontifical congregation. That means directly under the Holy Father. And from the 12, now we are 1,132 sisters. In 1952, we opened a home near Mohridoy for the sick and dying destitutes. In this 23 years, we have picked up from the streets of Calcutta more than 33,000 people, of whom about 15,000 have died a very beautiful death. Because for us, death is the greatest development of a human life, is to die in peace with God. And our people die very beautifully. As one of them said when we picked him up from the street, I have lived like an animal in the streets, but I will die like an angel, loved and cared. And that is the story of each one of them that have died in our hands. That's why we think that the Home for the Dying, though it has a very strange name, but is the most beautiful place where people die loved and cared. That they die like real children of God, like our brothers and sisters.
The church was filled with those who came to pay tribute to her memory and to celebrate the dedication of a 44-cent U.S. postage stamp in her honor.
I am both pleased and honored to be here serving as your Master of Ceremonies this afternoon as we pay tribute to the legacy of Mother Teresa, a remarkable woman who devoted her life to caring for the world's sick, poor, suffering, and destitute.
Blessed Teresa of Calcutta put worldly wisdom into focus by her proclamation of the gospel through word and deed. And she made it abundantly clear to the world and world leaders that the plight of the poor, the unborn, the destitute, and those individuals considered unlovable and unwanted, that all are children of God, deserving of our love, our care, and our attention.
That someone can be small in stature and do ordinary things, but because those acts are united with Christ and his own great act of love, they are great in their impact in the church and upon the world. Holiness is sometimes expressed through extraordinary things, but most often it is expressed through ordinary acts of love within the grasp of each one of us, to feed the hungry, to clothe the naked, shelter the homeless. Ordinary acts of love done in an extraordinary way because they are united to Christ's own extraordinary act of love. This was the witness of Mother's life, of holiness, and an encouraging example to each one of us of holiness. Mother Teresa of Calcutta, pray for us.
I would like to express my congratulations to the United States Postal Service for the beautiful commemorative stamp of Mother Teresa. May her bright smile bring joy, peace, and love into each house where this stamp will enter. Her image will remind us, and our 4 phrases of Mother Teresa, will remind us that God has created us for a greater thing, to love and to be loved. That a smile generates smiles and love generates love. That the joy of loving is the joy of sharing. And finally, that works of love are always works of peace. Thank you.
May this beautiful and joyful image of our dearest Mother be a reminder and a challenge to each one of us to do as she did, to imitate Christ in pouring ourselves out of love for our brothers and sisters, the poorest of the poor. And who are the poorest of the poor? The unloved and the unwanted. Beginning first with those members in our families, and then to those outside. May God bless you and thank you.
Let us thank God for the joy He has given us in sharing with our people, you in giving and we in receiving. God bless you.
I'm Kristal Hart reporting from Washington, D.C.